Hey guys, Zombie here, and welcome back to another Among Us tips and tricks video. This tips and tricks video is going to cover the map The SKELD, which is the first map that was released. This map is probably the least complicated, and I don't even think that one's really arguable, as there is only 3 unique tasks, and which makes sense, as Innersloth has stated, when they released this game, this was the only map, and they never intended the game to get as big as it did, especially 2 years after it released. So it makes sense that a lot of tasks on this map are across other maps as well. These are the only 3 that are unique to this one in particular. As always, I have mouse monitoring on, or capture cursor, so I can point at things to hopefully make things more clear. Now this is where you would normally spawn. However, I'm just gonna head over to navigation because there's no task in the immediate vicinity. Before we hop into that though, I was looking at the stats and noticed over 98% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you can just go down and double check you are, that'd be amazing. Although this is the 3rd and final tips and tricks video specific to a map, I have plenty more videos to come on this game, and as well as other games. And I'd love to have you back if you enjoy the style and the way I present the information. With that out of the way, let's go look at the first unique task. Okay, so here we are in navigation. This is probably the hardest task in the game. You open it up, and this is gonna spawn at a random location, and it's very difficult. You just gotta click and drag and bring it to the center. You can miss, it's very lenient. It's probably the hardest task in the entire game. So, up next is over in electrical. This one is a little bit tricky the first time you do it. I definitely have played with people when it's their first time, and they haven't seen the game before, they haven't seen all the tasks via Twitch or YouTube, and they struggle with this one a bit. So basically there's these 3, like, spinners, and you notice when it crosses this little, piece, this chip, this fills up, and there's this button underneath it, so basically you have to hit the button while it's overlapping, like this little chip or whatever, and you have to do that 3 times. However, let's say I do the first 2, and then I miss, so I click when it's not on there, which I'll miss on purpose here, it resets you back to the beginning. You have to do all 3 over again. So now if you do this and you click out and you come back in, it is a task that fully resets you, excuse me. So, not really too difficult after you've done it once or seen it once. I'm not sure if my game's being framey. On my end it looks weird, but I haven't played in a while because, as I mentioned in my last video, school started up, and I don't know, I haven't been playing, I've not been getting as much sleep as I should, so I apologize if this seems a little bit different than the other 2. So now we're already on our final task, our final unique task as a crewmate. Of course, last time I said this is going to be the shortest tips and tricks, probably, and it most likely will because of that reason. So there's one on the bottom and one on the top, which will go up to the upper engine in a minute here. And you come to this screen and you see that the engine is not lined up with the line in the center. So it wants you to line it up, right? But you can miss by like 10 or 15 degrees. Once it glows green, you know you're good. So here isn't good. Here is. You just let go whenever it's green. You can do it, I mean, you don't have to go slow like that. You can just fling it. It's not hard to hit. It's very simple. Probably the easiest of the... I said you can just swing it and I just missed like 4 times, but forgive me. My sleep and my everything has been, and my brain is just exploding recently, but I wanted to get this out for you guys. I wanted to at least finish the 3 individual map tips and tricks videos. Like I said, I have more than I have planned, but I wanted to really get this one out as my semester has started, and it's busy. I'm taking 24 credits instead of 16, and it's a lot, but I wanted to get this out for everyone, just so they have the complete tips and tricks for all 3 of the maps. So we're gonna start with the vents. The vents on this map are kind of interesting. I want to show you them before I put up the image, as the image is slightly off, so I'll explain it, and I'll explain it while I'm doing it, and then I'll show you the picture and explain again why it's slightly off. So the first one we're going to be looking at is over here on weapons, which is just to the right of cafeteria. It brings you over to navigation, which is about like the head of the ship, some people call it. There's 2 in navigation. However, if you notice, this one only goes to weapons, and the one in weapons only goes to here. But there's another vent in navigation on the bottom, and this one brings you down to shields. So it's, the whole right side of the map is essentially connected, except you have to traverse this, which is dangerous because if someone's on cams, which again, you'll see a red light flashing to show someone's on cams. or if someone's in here, you're gonna have a hard time coming out and going into the next vent to traverse the entire right side. Take that as you will. This is comms, which I'll go over quickly. I'll go over this quick because I'm not going to go over comms as a Sabo option because I've never seen someone use it on this map, and I've really never seen anyone use it, unironically, on any map. But this is comms, great place to die. There's a task here, there's a task here, and comms is so... I don't even think I've ever seen someone do it on this map, but pretty isolated. A lot of people like to peek their heads in at a higher level of play to see if someone died, because this is a very isolated area, 2 tasks, and the sabotage that no one uses. So that is something to keep note of. I know I'm kind of running past events, but I want to do this first because it makes sense logically to do it in this order. So now we're at lower engine. So we had a connection here and a connection here. Now we're at lower engine, and it's the same thing. Lower engine connects to reactor, which is, you know, right over here at the back. And then the same thing. There's 2 vents in the room. They're not connected, but that they're in the same room, and this one brings you up to upper engine. So you have basically this connected, this connected, this right here, as well as this right here. They're connected, but again, in navigation and in reactor, there's 2 vents, which will require you to hop out and hop into the new one, which sometimes isn't very easy. In fact, most times I would argue it's not that easy. I'm gonna talk about this one first. So this is electrical. This is, you know, there's 4 tasks here plus the Sabo, and there's a vent. This is a very, very popular area. So this vent connects to security, which is where cameras are. So you might hear people call this cams, or, you know, cameras, or security, as well as medbay. Medbay is another isolated area. There's only 2 tasks in here, and generally, I mean, this is a confirm, which I'll talk about confirms in another tips and tricks video later on. And this one isn't, but you're not going to see many people in this room, and most of the time people are going to be running past it, but not checking, as there's only 2 tasks here, and it's a very deep room. It'll cost time, and it's a good place to... I mean, if you can catch someone here by themselves as an imposter, great place. Like, if Dummy 1 was a real player in a game, great person to kill, because odds are no one's coming in and out of here. I mean, there is, I think, a camera right here, which can see someone go in and then not come out. But if you use the vents, you know, you can make it work. But just be aware of the cameras. There's cameras in almost every major hallway, which is tough. But this is a very isolated area. So, moving on to the last vent. It is in cafeteria, right over here. So there's you know, the one right here, which brings you on this outside ring. But then there's this one in cafeteria, which brings you over... It's like outside navigation, so instead of going into navigation and then through to shields, or have the option to, you're going from cafeteria kind of through O2 and popping out in this hallway between shields, nav, weapons, and O2. And then it also can bring you directly to admin and back to cafeteria. This one is an actual... here is an actual triangle. There's 3 connected. Same thing over here. It's a triangle. This one's a tighter triangle, though, because you don't move very far. This one's a bit wider, as the vents are a little bit further apart. So I guess I will use this time to put the picture, or the image up on screen with the lines. However, I do want to point out there is 2 minor errors that I just want to make sure you know. If you screenshot this or anything, you might want to note this down. The triangle from cafeteria to admin to that hallway, it shows it in O2, but it is in the hallway. Again, I will quickly show you on screen here. This is where it goes, cafeteria to here to bottom admin, bottom left. So the lines aren't necessarily the most accurate. And then I'm going to bring the image back up now. And you notice that the one from upper reactor to upper engine is not there at all. But just keep in mind there's one there, very similar to the weapons to nav and nav to shields. It's the same premise, just the opposite end of the ship. And then finally, the lines for medbay, security, and electrical are not to scale. I mean, you know, they're not exact, but they're close. You'll get the purpose, but it's not exactly on the vent. And if you're looking for something extremely exact, you might want to make your own. I did not make this. Shout out to, I believe Lily was the one who took all these screenshots and likely edited over them. So shout out to her if you're watching. Hello, thank you. I'm happy to have you here. So now I'm going to move on to sabotages. So in my Polis video, which is the one I uploaded most recently, I completely forgot to mention the ability to close doors. You can close pretty much all of them at the same time. The only thing is when you activate one, you can't activate another sabo option until all the doors are opened again. You see this one opened and I can't sabo yet, and that's because the other ones, now every door is open, so I can now do a different sabotage option. On the SKELD, this map, there is no way to open up the doors. They close and they open on a timer, and that's it. You just have to wait for the door to open. On Polis, you have to flip some switches. I forgot to mention it in my last video. I apologize, but you'll get the hang of that pretty quick in games when you see the doors closed, and you can hit your task button, or I use spacebar. I know E worked, or you can click it. You'll see it highlighted. Not a big deal. So there's comms that I mentioned briefly before. I've never seen anyone use it, and is it useful? Maybe. I don't know. I just never seen anyone use it, so I have no experience to draw off of. So I think this map has probably the most dynamic sabotages. I'm not sure if that's the word I'm looking for, but you can force the most amount of movement, in my opinion, because you have 3 very viable sabotage options. Where on other maps, I feel, for example, on Mira, oxygen and lights are very close together in terms of the upper area, where with O2 you have to go to the bottom one, which separates people. Electrical, everyone conglomerates. Reactor, everyone conglomerates. Kind of similar here, but I feel like the way the map is structured allows you to isolate crewmates much better as the imposter. For example, I'm just gonna hop over to Nav quick. Pretty common area for someone to die. And if you're here, you can really sabo anything. I would recommend not doing O2, as I'll showcase the O2 areas right now. There's one right here. This is one of the panels, as well as an admin right here. I'll actually hop over to it so you can see it better. But it's right over here. So again, you have to disable both to not lose as a crewmate. So but then with lights is all the way in electrical, and then obviously the lights go down, as you know, or you can activate Reactor, which forces almost every crewmate, or most crewmates, to that side of the ship. Some more advanced crewmates, or even, it's funny, because you won't see a mid-level player do this, but a new player or an advanced player might, when the reactor goes off, and if they're in this area, they might come to navigation to look. Just something to keep in mind. Gauge the amount of experience the people you're playing with have, and know that if you kill someone here, you might want to use a vent to quickly get out to shields or to weapons, as someone might come to check navigation if the reactor goes off. But I'm not going to activate it because I don't want to deal with the beeping. It's annoying, but just, there's one here and one here. I'll show it later, and it'll force most crewmates to that side. So, good place to kill. You can really use any of your options. Even O2 isn't bad. You just might have people coming. You'll bring people to the area, which isn't the greatest. Because if you can prevent the crewmates from finding the body, you can potentially get your kill cooldown down to 0 and get another kill in the same round, which is nice. Like I mentioned briefly, great area to die is comms, 2 tasks here and here. People will kind of come and jiggle peek it. On free play, I can't adjust my vision. It's like probably the maximum vision possible as an imposter in free play for whatever reason. So what you're seeing on my screen with how far my vision is not at all accurate to what you'll see in a game unless you play on some crazy settings. So killing people in here is good. You have to realize there's no vent other than here, which will bring you up to nav, or you just have to run, and you could get caught on the way out. Next up is electrical. It's a pretty hot area. If you're doing this, I'd recommend setting off O2 or Reactor, as people will generally not come into electrical in that time unless they're checking for a dead body, which some new players or advanced players would do, where mid players probably wouldn't. You get the kill here, and then you have your option of security or medbay. If you do Reactor, security might not be the best play. It could be. Or you can go medbay, which is risky because not a lot of people go to medbay, so you might want to come up with another story. O2 is the better option, I would say, as it brings people to the right side of the map compared to the left. But even, it really doesn't matter. Just not lights, because it'll bring people right to it. As I mentioned, medbay, there's 2 tasks down on the bottom. Good place to get killed, as no one really goes through there other than imposters jumping out of that vent. As I mentioned, this is the first reactor panel, and the second one is right here. You have to have someone on both to disable the reactor to not lose the game off of an imposter sabotage. It's harder to use strategy on this map, other than just using strategic sabotages, but there isn't big areas that are very likely to get kills. For example, on Polis round 1, you can expect to see someone dead in medbay by the scanner after the lights go out. That's a pretty common round 1. Lights go out, someone dies at medbay. On this map, it's very all over the place. There's a lot of different areas to get caught on your own, especially on the outskirts. But again, Reactor, well, particularly Navigation's a good place to die, not Reactor, but it's not terrible. You have rooms that aren't frequently visited, comms, bottom of medbay. So you just have to figure out who you're playing with, what kind of strategy you personally want to go with, because of course this game there's no objective way to just win. You have to kind of adapt to who you're playing with and what you want to do. I know this is more up in the air than the other ones, as like I mentioned, there's more concrete or more predictable patterns on other maps, but I did want to get this out, and of course there was only 3 unique tasks, so it should be on the shorter side. I kind of rambled a little bit and I apologize. Like I said, brains fried from college, but I do have some other ideas planned, how to verify crewmates, how to spot imposters better with some tiny little movement things they might do or the way they might act during a round. So if you're interested in more tips and tricks videos like that, and you have a preference on which one you want to see first, definitely let me know in the comments below, and it'll help me prioritize what video I make in what order. Once again, I'd really appreciate if you were subscribed to the channel, as well as check out my Discord, as many people are starting to join and they're looking for games to play, and I'm not currently available. So if you're interested in playing, there is more and more people with active interest in playing this game. There's voice channels set up, and I'll write out rules for everyone, and it should be good. So if you're interested in that, check out my Discord, as well as for live notifications on Twitch and video upload notifications for when I upload on YouTube. If you're interested in following my Twitch, I'm a little bit more inactive now, unfortunately, as college has started, but if you're interested in that, that'll also be in the description. And yeah, that'll be it for me for now. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in another video, and until then, see you soon.